just go ahead and do the roll call, and then commissioners, do you want to open up the meeting, and then we'll go through and let everyone ask a question if they'd like?
That sounds great.
Great, thanks.
Okay. So online we have Andrew Hagemeyer, Ann Hughes, Bert Caldwell, Chet Krauser, Chris Lounsbury, Commissioner Strohmeyer, Devin Jackson and Lolo, Heather Powers, Jennifer Schultz and Lolo, Jerry Dellis with West Valley, Commissioner Slotnick, Commissioner Vero, Callie Hannon with Bonner, Karen Hughes, Evan Noland with Lolo and Lori Heyer, and Lee Bridges with East Missoula.
Great. Welcome, everybody. Okay.
You're going to kick us off, Josh?
Okay, well, there we go. Welcome, everybody, to our second crack at this. Like the first one was so successful. We're hoping for another good evening of discussion. And if I remember right, we're just going to go down through the line and people ask questions. We'll hopefully inspire a little conversation, maybe some accurate answers in there too. So with that, let's just dive in.
Hey, and Josh, before we kick things off, I do have one announcement.
Please.
Yeah, so, and correct me if I'm wrong, any of my colleagues on the line, but I believe we received word that there will be a COVID-19 mobile testing clinic in Clinton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that tomorrow?
That is tomorrow.
Yeah.
I can tell you that is accurate.
Okay, and we did receive late breaking news. More details are yet to come, but I believe next week there will be mobile testing clinics in Lolo and in Frenchtown.
Do you have the hours, Josh, for the Clinton one?
Do is to call 258-INFO. Because you got to make an appointment. And Dave, thanks for bringing this up. You can't just roll in. So if you call that number, tell them where you live. They'll do some phone screening, and if they deem you a worthy candidate for a test, you'll get an appointment and you can go have your test taken. Yeah,
and again, like I say, the details are not official yet, but I think tentatively they are looking at Thursday, May 21st at the Lolo Community Center in the morning, and then the afternoon on Thursday the 21st at the Frenchtown Fire Station. But before you post anything on social media or whatnot, hang tough for another day or so while those details get finalized.
And this is by appointment.
It's by appointment, yes.
Can you say the number again, please?
258-INFO.
Which is 4636.
Thanks, Chris.
And you have to show some of the symptoms before they'll let you in, right?
Well, when you call them, they'll do a phone screening and they'll have a chat with you. And definitely, key thing there is actually having some symptoms. If you were in contact with someone that we know has COVID, I'm sure that would clear the bar as well. Or if you're a frontline emergency worker, healthcare worker, I bet that would get you over the bar.
All right.
That's it.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, well, we'll start here. I can just read across the bottom of my screen until we get everybody. Who's LE?
So if we can actually just go through the list that I have, I think it might be easier. That bottom will change as people talk.
You manage this part.
Okay, so Bert, you're first on the list again tonight.
But I was last coming in. How did I get to be first?
I think it's
I don't know. I was that too, since I'm last on the list, and I couldn't have been last coming on.
Yeah, if you look at your watch, you always get to be first.
Okay. All right. Really got nothing on this end except that Lee and I were going to have a joint East Missoula Community Council, Bonner Community Council last night. And somehow, and I still haven't figured it out because I did some testing today, the link did not work. And so we canceled and have rescheduled for tomorrow night. And that has to do with the food bank distribution that's going on out here and our desire to contribute to the food bank. So we will get that done hopefully tomorrow night. And Ms. Bell, if it doesn't happen tomorrow night, I will be calling on some of your expertise.
Sounds good, Bert. I'm happy to help out.
I appreciate that. I really do. I like to think I'm technically savvy, not a guru of any sort, but reasonably savvy. But I screwed it up somehow. Anyway, that's all I've got. Oh, and they've got more than 50 boxes going out tomorrow.
How often do they go out there, Bert?
Once a week. Talk to Lee. Lee's got more information. It's an East Missoula group that's doing east of Missoula food distribution, but we've got people in Bonner that are helping out.
Great.
In Clinton too.
And Clinton, yeah.
Great.
So Lee, talk about it.
Okay, cool. Well, we've started this 2 weeks ago. Tomorrow is our third drop. It's to be very successful. We've got it posted on our reader board. They've got a banner going up in Bonner this coming week, and we've got it posted on our Facebook pages for our community councils. It's offering the citizens out here in East Missoula, Clinton, Bonner, and Potomac a week's worth of food that we distribute. We have stations that they come to in East Missoula, Bonner, and Clinton on Thursday from 4 to 6. And so that'll be tomorrow from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. for people who have called in and reserved a box for them to pick one up. We get a couple extras for just anybody who might be a latecomer or whatever, and we do have extras, and we've always been able to hand them out pretty much. There's few that we have to send back. So it's been very successful, and it is growing. And I see this need as being on an ongoing basis. I don't see this letting up anytime soon.
And Lee, what's in the boxes? Like you said, it was a week's worth, and that I think you said last week or last time we talked, it's for a family of 4, a week's worth.
Yes, what they do is they get a big box, and they get a big bag that's stapled closed. In the bag is typically the canned foods. Yeah, mostly canned foods. And then in the box, you'll get stuff like milk, apples, oranges, celery, cabbage. I'm trying to think. Grains, oatmeal, cereal, rice, that sort of thing. Real basic staples. And then the canned foods would be like pumpkin, pork and beans, vegetables, that sort of thing. So, and tomato sauce, that stuff. So it's an excellent staple for a family to be able to mix some of those ingredients and come up with meals and stuff. Like you can make spaghetti and that sort of thing. They have like canned salmon or salmon croquettes or whatever you want to do with that kind of stuff, and peanut butter. So it's really nutritional staples that you can provide for a family to help them offset the cost of a week's worth of food.
Fantastic. Thanks so much.
It is really fantastic. And the folks that are picking it up are very, very appreciative of the service.
Well done.
Yeah.
And I want to give kudos to the people that put it together and that are making it happen. It's a good group of people.
I agree. And that's all I have to say, too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, take advantage of the fact that both Lee and I are being short.
So next we have Devin Jackson with Lolo Community Council. Devin Jackson, are you still on the line?
Sorry, my mute didn't turn off on me.
That's okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so people are pretty happy to have places to go. They're happy that they're opening back up and that we're as safe as anybody is in the nation right now. But there's some concern as to a resurgence or a peak. What will be the protocol for closing everything back down? Do we have one in place yet, or?
So, I mean, in terms of protocol, I imagine it'll spool back in the same way things spooled out, but unfortunately, can't speak authoritatively. I don't know if any of us can, because this is the purview of our health officer, and I'm not sure what benchmarks she's looking at in terms of how many cases or how many active cases or hospitalizations or what it would be to pull back. But I'm just going to take an educated guess that a pullback would just kind of be the reverse of the rollout.
And again, starting Friday, we're good for congregations up to 50.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
I'd like to throw a comment in there. I'm glad we're on this topic. I wasn't going to speak anymore. This is Bridges from East Missoula Community Council. I do have stuff to say about that. Both Bert and I, our communities are right on I-90, and I-90 is an interstate that goes and connects the rest of the nation. I bet Bert's on the same page. We're being really careful with our communities. We're at risk, and we have canceled our April and May meetings. The East Missoula Community Council does not meet over the summer, but we've got some special topics going on right now with zoning and the Highway 200 corridor. So what Bert and I are looking into with this Zoom meeting, I need to get proficient at it as well, because we're going to try and hold some Zoom meetings on these specific topics over the summer that are pertinent to us, like, as I said, the zoning and the Highway 200. I'm feeling like this ain't over, and I'm not convinced with everybody running out without masks. I'm not convinced that it's over at all. I'm not leaving the property without a mask on and gloves, and I encourage everybody else to do the same. I am homebound. I've got a vulnerable party in my household that's COPD. I cannot risk bringing anything home, and because we are on the interstate, I feel like we're more susceptible than maybe Cedar Lake and Condon, areas like that. So I understand the discrepancies in our county because it's a vast county. So I understand the differences, but I'm very concerned about ours, and I want to be able to get proficient with these Zoom meetings so that we can have our community council meetings starting in September that may be on Zoom for most of the year until this literally is totally under control, and it is not, in my opinion.
Right, and Lolo, I think we canceled our April and May also, or our April and March also, or our April and May, sorry. And obviously there's peaks in South Dakota and Minnesota and at the meat packing plants, and so all the meat that Seattle and Portland eats comes through I-90 and comes through our town. So we're definitely not out of it. I always wear a mask, keep wearing a mask. But we all have our ballots. We should have gotten them all in the mail by now. We have new elections that just came up. Traditionally, we do our election of our officers in June. If it's still safe, I think it would be nice if we can, have that election of officers in person with the public. So that was why I was asking, what's the protocol for closing back down? And, as long as the health department keeps us informed of what's safe and what's not, I think we'll probably be okay.
Two quick comments. No, go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to interject. I apologize. I have not had a chance to watch the video from the health department today. I watch it every day and I just haven't had a chance yet. But in Cindy Farr's YouTube video today, she does talk about the criteria that the health department would consider in issuing closure orders again. So that might that there might be some good information in there for you.
That was part of what I was going to say is I would like to see her join us if we have one of these next month. And, you know, get some direct from the horse's mouth. Not calling it a horse.
Certainly invite her.
Huh?
We'll certainly invite her.
Fantastic. And the other one, Lee mentioned Sealy Lake. Sealy, I've had some conversations with Sealy and they're already seeing some tourists show up. So it's not like because they're off of I-90 that they're out of the woods.
True that.
We may see COVID tourism given our numbers are so low. People want to go somewhere. They might want to come here. I mean, it's just a might and a maybe. Who knows? But my conversations with friends in other parts of the country, and they hear what our numbers are, they're kind of amazed. Like, wow, that would be a safe place to go.
That's what the
Yeah,
tourists.
right.
Yeah.
That's what the tourists coming to Sealy are saying. That's the reason they're coming.
And, you know, the governor's 14-day quarantine order for people coming into the state is still in effect. If I understand it right.
How do you?
It is, but I have ran into people that didn't know it was in place and they just come
Sure.
in. And,
No doubt, man. I'm absolutely certain that's the case.
yeah.
And
Well, I will hand it to Granite County. I was over in Phillipsburg over the weekend, and they had signs all over the place that if you're coming into Granite County, you from outside of state, 14-day quarantine. So,
Good.
Good.
Fantastic.
one
And
thing I'd
Dairy
like to
Lake should do the same.
just to follow on to your question, Devin, in terms of gatherings and meetings and such, we can probably keep the community councils abreast of what, for instance, the Board of County Commissioners' own protocol is going to be relative to meetings, because we had a discussion about this earlier. At what point do we start incrementally having meetings open to the public, or even us gathering together in one spot? And there's a component of how long together you are in the same room with someone in a closed quarters situation that needs to be taken into account, whereas maybe it wouldn't be quite as big a deal if you're meeting outside. But if you're in a conference room or a community space for more than 30 minutes, even if you're socially distanced, it might not be quite time for that yet.
Yeah, maybe we want to look at having some more outdoor meetings.
Yeah.
You know, it's much safer.
It's summer.
Yeah.
Yep. You can't do the computer PowerPoint screens or anything like that, but you could have meetings.
For sure.
You can never read the text on the PowerPoint slides anyway, so what the
That's
heck?
right. Yeah, that's right.
Thanks, Dave. And yeah, I'll look forward to keeping abreast of what the meeting protocols are from the commissioners. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
Thanks, Devin. Next, we have Jennifer Moore Schultz, also from Lolo.
Hi. No, I think that was actually one of my questions too that Devin touched on. So it's good. I think thanks for having this set up again for sure. And I'm just anxious to hear what else, other questions from everyone else has, you know, for other communities. Thank you.
Thank you.
I like these virtual meetings because we've never done these before. I've never talked to the Lolo County Commission or the Lolo Community Councils and the Frenchtown Community Councils, and you know, this is great. I love it. I think we should keep doing this.
Great. Yeah, it is. It's super nice. It's great to hear what everyone else is working on and how they're dealing with things. And it was spot on about the whole highway interconnectivity. And I know we're a little bit different. We're on 93, but there's still folks that come, you know, north and south. And so it's all pertinent. So, okay, thanks.
Thanks, Jennifer. Next is Jerry Dellis with West Valley.
Yeah, actually, I'm a property owner in Granite County, and there's signs on every single entrance and exit. They take it pretty serious over there. There's been no cases, so that might have something to do with it. I just wanted to follow up from my question from last week regarding who has jurisdiction on state parks. thinking about Frenchtown State Park. We're seeing a lot of tourists there as well. And whose jurisdiction is it? Is it the county or is it the state whose rules are in effect?
We have the
we had a discussion with Fish, Wildlife, and Parks about a week ago. Chet, do you remember precisely what they said at that meeting?
Yeah, sorry, Dave, I was trying to find my mute button amidst many other things going on here at our house. So we did visit with them a little bit, and they do have protocols for opening up the state parks. I shared that with Lauren Flynn, who is the regional park manager, and you should certainly visit with him if you'd like to get a little bit more information about what their protocol is for the various state parks. And I know they do have some guidelines that they're trying to follow. Certainly some of what applies to properties throughout the county and places throughout the county would apply there, although they have some other different direction, I know, from the governor's office as a state agency. But I think they do their best to kind of mix the two so that they're trying to achieve the goals of the local jurisdictions as well as what's being directed down from the state. But as far as what those protocols look like, he would be the better one to speak to that.
If I remember right, Lauren did say camping didn't count as quarantine.
Yeah, and that wouldn't apply at Frenchtown. Obviously, there's not campsites there. So I think, Jerry, probably what you're referring to is more about just congregations of folks and social distancing at a day use park. And I'm sure as we see warmer weather and knowing how popular Frenchtown Pond is for folks to cool off and things like that, what the plan might look like as we move forward. And I think, I don't remember exactly what he said as far as playgrounds go. I know that at least at a county level and even at a city level, that's one of the places that we've looked to limit, public access, knowing we really don't have an ability to sterilize those types of environments. But again, I think he would probably be the best one to speak to that. And you can probably get a hold of him by calling the main FWP office. And if you have trouble, let me know. I can try to get you.
Chad, I didn't hear the name. There was some background noise going on that I didn't hear who you said.
Yeah, Lauren Flynn is the regional park manager for FWP. And you can try their 542-5500 number. That's their main line. And if you have trouble with that, you can get in touch with me and I can see if I can connect you. I'm not sure exactly what their working scenario is right now, but.
I just think it might be handy for, as you guys said, Frenchtown Pond is a really popular place for folks, and it might be in the best interest of the county to possibly post what rules are required at state parks still, that guidelines should be followed, I guess.
So there's
just confusing. There's nothing posted there.
Okay.
Yeah, and admittedly, I guess I'm still not entirely clear to what extent we have jurisdiction over other agencies' properties like that. So maybe that's, Anne, is that something we could follow up on just to get clear? And if indeed posting would help visitors know what they can and cannot do, maybe that's something we could pursue.
Yeah, for sure. I'll follow up with State Parks Communications and see what they're working on and ask the State Joint Information Center, because it would be efforts that they should take on. Because the county posting at a state park feels not quite right to me. But I'm more than happy to try to close that loop for you guys.
Of course, there's always the do it and get your hand slapped versus asking permission and being turned down.
That is an option, Bert.
That's one I use frequently.
Yeah, and speaking from past experience on that, I mean, generally speaking, the state park program tries to work pretty closely with the county as far as direction and things that, you know, whether it's water quality issues or other things like that, that can be addressed by both jurisdictions. And I know it does vary. I did share, just Jerry, for what it's worth, I shared with Lauren during that call the fact that you had asked this question during our last meeting. So I know he's aware of the fact that that was a question that was out there. And I know it won't surprise him if you ask that question. I'm sure he'd be happy to answer some of that as well. Not at all to take away from what Ann has offered, but just so you know that we did at least offer that to him when we did have that last meeting with FWP.
Okay, thanks. And then my other thought was we would have originally had our West Valley Community Council meeting tonight. Fire station still isn't allowing meetings. We typically have our elections in May, so we are hoping to be able to meet again in June, and we'll hold our elections in June.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jerry. Next, we have Callie Hannon with Bonner Milltown.
Hello. I have a follow-up question about the governor's mandated 14-day quarantine period for people who are coming into Montana from out of state or out of country. I was wondering if the county is doing anything at the entrances to the county, on the interstates, or at the airport with signage to let folks who are coming in know that that's supposed to be happening now. Because I doubt that there's a way of enforcing that, but it seems like there are plenty of methods of at least educating people that that's expected.
Yeah, national.
Throw in the bus station in there too.
Yeah.
I can see that there is signage posted at the airport, but I don't think that there is signage on the highways for a bus station, as far as I know, but that's a good thing to ask, and I'll check.
Cool, thank you.
You bet.
And a couple of folks at other community councils have talked about their elections and when they're doing those, and I'm not sure. Bert already spoke from Bonner Milltown Community Council, and I feel like we usually do elections in, or at least, yeah, in like May or June of positions on the council. Bert, do you know when do you have a sense of when you want to do those with our council? Is Bert still on? I guess I can talk to him.
No, I'm muted. I was sitting here obviously talking to myself. I said, as soon as you are no longer pregnant and become chairwoman, that's when we'll have the elections.
Okay, so September or October?
Yeah.
When I'm back at meetings? Great.
I'll hang on to it till then, and we're not going to have any meetings, so it's not that big a deal.
Okay, cool. So we're holding off on our elections then, I guess, until the fall.
Right.
Cool. Thanks, everyone. I think that's all my questions for now.
Next is Kevin Noland with Lolo.
A question about, and maybe we can address the health officer, as far as group meetings in public buildings, the protocol for creating negative air chambers in the negative room. You know, and we can calculate the size of our meeting room and how much CFM of negative airflow we need to create a safe place. If we need to have a meeting before, you know, this COVID phase is over with. Error on the side of caution, I think. Devin's question about having our position elections, you know, I think it's important to have, you know, if we're the voice piece of the public, our community, I certainly would like community participation in who they want leading our council. So if we have to postpone that, you know, definitely no problem doing that. We can make do with it as it goes. As far as out-of-state interest in our area, the real estate market is very active with a lot of out-of-state interest for the reason, Commissioner Slotnick, you mentioned, is it looks like a safe place. People want to come here. So real estate agents around our area have been very busy with like virtual tours and virtual hostings of open houses in buildings. And so there's a lot of out-of-state interest. So signage, that seems to be a common topic, common thread tonight. I'd love to see more signage. We don't, when we need to get gas, I go to off the beaten path gas station as possible. So I'm not touching things that, somebody that just drove from Seattle or South Dakota or somewhere, next thing they did was grabbed a gas pump. As far as that goes, I checked with our local food bank, the distribution, they fed 30 families and 96 total people in the last distribution of food. Our school is handing out 250 to 300 lunches on a regular basis to those folks. So Lolo, we've got great group participation. I think we're taking care of our own really well. The directive, last meeting like this, we had concern about softball, and that got taken care of properly. So that's a plus. But I see people really trying to follow the protocols and trying to keep public safety in mind, and it'll help us all get through this. So I don't think I have any real questions. I just got a lot of words to share, so I'll be quiet now.
That's good.
I mean, yeah, I wasn't saying election of officers was something that needed to happen, but it's as safe as it's been in a long time, and it looks like it's as safe as it's going to be for a long time. So if this is our one chance to have an in-public meeting for a while, it would be nice to, get it done. That was all. But if conditions change, or if the health department suggests that it's not really a good idea, definitely safety is the first concern.
Yeah, Devin, when I send out those emails to us, respond with your input. That'd be great. Appreciate that.
Yep.
Mr. Nolan brought up an interesting thing, and I had forgotten about it. The Bonner School is feeding about 600 meals a day, breakfast and lunch, sending them out on school buses and/or some of them are coming by and picking them up. But they are definitely feeding some kids.
That's awesome.
Thanks for reminding me of that, Kevin.
Oh, you got it. Yes, sir.
All right, next is Lisa from East Missoula.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for having another gathering. It's been interesting to hear what everyone is doing. I have nothing really to share. We're not meeting at this time, but are looking to meet in this platform tomorrow night to take care of some support for our food bank, in particular out here. And I know in East Missoula, the Missoula County Public Schools are coming through with the school buses during lunchtime and providing a lunch, a snack, and a breakfast for the next day to the kids. And you don't have to show that you're eligible for a free or reduced lunch. You just show up at the bus, you have a kid, they get a sack. And I'm not sure what those numbers are. And nothing more. I guess I'm share a lot of the concerns about people traveling into this area where we live and bringing stuff with them. So, I haven't been to work since like March 15th, I don't think. So it's been a while, and I'm looking forward to seeing everyone in person. And that's about it. Thank you all.
I would like to add, this is Lee from East Missoula Community Council. I'd like to add that Jack Ballas on our East Missoula Council is one of the bus drivers that does deliver the school food, which is great. So kudos to Jack. Lisa, I know that you've been making masks, and kudos to you too. We've had a lot of volunteer participation out here, and I'm really pleased with the way our community has really jumped on this and taken care of each other. It's greatly appreciated by all.
Thanks, ladies.
I'm done.
We have a new caller on the line. I'm not sure who it is. Phone number 321-3777. No, we can't hear you if you're talking. Well, I guess we'll move to the next and last, which is Lee from East Missoula.
Well, I've pretty much stepped in on everybody else's time and said all I've really got to say. I do know that our fire hall is our community center that we meet at, and I'm working closely with Justin Schaefer, who is the fire chief, and we're using our fire hall for our 24-hour fire members to stay there and live there. So he's very cautious about opening up the community center to any public meetings any time in the near future. I will keep you abreast of that, and I hope that we continue these virtual meetings because I love them. I think they're great. And for the duration, that is our meeting place, and for as long as that's closed, I'm going to really be needing to investigate into this virtual stuff because I think this might be the wave of where we go. I have noticed that since Bert and I planned on doing that meeting last night, even though it was a bust, I got a lot of messages from people that don't normally show up at our meetings. And I think that having a virtual meeting online like that where people can stay home and still attend the meetings is going to open it up to a whole lot more participation, public participation than I was expecting, to tell you the truth. We've had some really good turnout at our meetings this past year, but I think that having it on a phone connection or online connection might actually raise up the participation.
Yeah,
Which is
and
good.
I'll echo that, Lee. I had a lot of emails saying, "How do I get on? This link's not working." So, and from people that don't normally show up. So I think this is a good venue, and I would like to ask the commissioners if we're going to do this next month about the same time, and the month after.
I hope it's
and the month after.
Yes.
I know. I see Juanita laughing, but it'll keep you from being bored out there on the ranch.
That's right.
I'm sure we can do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
But before everyone jumps off, can we recap kind of the action items that folks want? I just want to make sure that we all know what we're asking of. We wanted to invite Cindy and get in touch with Lauren Flynn about signs, and then some highway signs.
Yeah, I wonder, Juan, if we could ask Shane about that, because I'm sure there's some rules about putting a sign up on a federal highway, but Shane would know.
Shane would know.
Yep.
What else are we missing?
Ongoing meeting practices,
virtual meetings.
Yeah, I think if we come up with any protocols or trigger points for when the commission's going to start gathering in public again, then pass that on to the community councils such that we're not holding ourselves to a different standard that we're expecting other folks to adhere to. So,
right.
I think I'd add that we have been talking about doing some research to see about incorporating protocols for virtual meetings into bylaws so that there's an expected procedure and expectations as to how that happens.
Good.
That's a good idea. I put in the hour that is in for review now that we could have a council member, if they could not make a meeting, joined by virtual meeting, but to have the whole council by virtual meeting is not in there. And so that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think we want to see what the best practices are. You automatically exclude certain people, but as you pointed out, you also include people that you maybe haven't been including. So I think being thoughtful about that and making sure that we make it clear how that can happen and what the rules are is probably a good way to go.
and learn how to do it so it's not a complete failure.
Right.
I think language coming from the county so that all of the community councils have the same or similar language in their bylaws would be helpful if we had some kind of language template that we could either plug in, or if we need to for our various community needs, maybe modify, but at least start with a similar base for all of our council bylaws. That would be helpful.
Absolutely. Yes. And we're looking at it for Board of Adjustment and Planning Board and other boards as well. So we'd like to come up with some good template language that the community councils can use.
Good. I have one question. So here in Lolo, hi, this is Jennifer. In Lolo, we've tried to do like Facebook Live streaming during our meetings, and we've had great success with that before. But sometimes we'll get comments that come through, and because we're live doing the meeting, we can't actually read those comments. So do you guys have any ideas on how we could actually incorporate, or if we need to discuss it further, but just how do you incorporate the comments that are coming through on that live feed when you're in person trying to hold a meeting too?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And there are ways to do it. And just as a kind of a quick example, the school boards that are doing live streaming of their meetings on Facebook, someone is reading the comments as they're coming in and asking the questions as they're coming in. So you actually task someone with tracking the feed. Okay. But I think that having those kind of written into a protocol so that you know how to run a meeting, and if you have some people present and some people attending virtually, making sure that everyone knows how that works, and having a communications plan so that people know how they can participate.
Cool. Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, Jennifer, that we could do that. That'd be pretty easy. We can just have one screen up with the page on while the phone's recording the meeting. I mean, we could just set that right up, right where you guys sit. That'd be, that's a great idea. Look, I want to add that. Super smart.
Do it.
I got one last comment, and honest to God, last comment. Okay, Juanita's taking notes. Juanita's taking notes on things that we're asking for. I wanted to throw out that in the last 2 days, there have been a lot of testimony on Capitol Hill that all says there will be a resurgence of this, and it'll be worse. And so I think that as commissioners and also the health department, we need to be looking, and you already are because you said that, but we need to be looking at protocols going forward as to how we handle a resurgence. And if it's worse, what happens? Take a hard look at the worst case scenario, because it's going to get bad again.
Thank you, Bert.
It's opinion.
What he said, I'm on board.
Yeah, and that was why I was advocating for a meeting in June, because as long as it's still safe, because this might be our last chance for a while to do this. And it is really nice to actually interact with the community when we do this, as opposed to there is something a little more sterile about this sort of interaction as opposed to an official meeting. So yeah, that was really where I was coming from with regards to actually having a meeting in June. Really the main concern was, when we ramp it back up, when we close back down, because we all expect that to happen, I think. And yeah, everybody keep wearing masks and gloves, even though it's safe now, safe-ish.
It's not.
Yeah, exactly. So
we know better. We're smart.
It's a false sense of security.
Yep.
Well, there's the old saying, you prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
That's right. But be smart about it.
Well, thanks everyone for participating. It sounds like these are useful meetings for everyone, so I don't see a problem why we couldn't get one scheduled next month at roughly the same time.
I think Wednesday nights work really well for me. I'm from the point of view, I share what Bert is saying, and I'm leaning towards, since we don't have any official meetings during the summer, anything that we do during the summer is going to be done virtually, like on Zoom. And in September, when this all flares up again, we're going to be needing a platform to be having these public meetings that we haven't had in the past 2 months. So I'm really going to be going forward on learning about Zoom and all of these virtual meeting styles that we can have our community council meetings. And I appreciate you bringing that up, Bert, about putting that into our bylaws, because I hadn't even thought of that. And that's where we're coming from. We are going to be super safe in our community and go forward as though this is an ongoing threat, because in our opinion, it is.
I actually have, this is Callie from Bonner Milltown Community Council. I actually have a question related to planning for online meetings. I know that we're not allowed to have a quorum of council members to like meeting on a call or on Zoom, and I'm wondering if there is a way, commissioners, that you recommend that we plan for these Zoom meetings without accidentally like having a quorum, because I think it would be helpful to be able to plan not just on email, but to like figure out how we're coming up, like how we're using Zoom, who is going to be moderating the Zoom call, who's going to be actually facilitating, how we're going to make sure that we are reading all of those comments as they come through. And all of that is just, it's much easier to do over the phone rather than email. Do you have any suggestions on that?
I've got some thoughts on that.
Sarah, do you have any thoughts on that?
My first thought was to just notice a special public meeting, basically, and on the agenda, it could be just planning for future meetings. That way you're noticed, okay. And if you are a quorum, it's not a big deal. And if there's an action taken, the meeting's been noticed. Chet or Karen, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think using your bylaws to guide how you set up your meetings is good. They said it's a good framework for setting up all meetings. So following those, providing 48 hours notice even of a special meeting is really important. Making sure that we get agendas posted in the way that they're supposed to be posted in accordance with your bylaws. But yeah, I think a meeting to plan the meetings is good. And then once you get in, if you get into a habit of doing meetings, you can use the meeting to plan the next meeting.
Of course. It's just for the first Zoom meeting. It's, yeah.
All right.
Okay, great.
Karen, is there any reason that we couldn't schedule the regular council meeting, which ours is on the second Monday night, every second Monday at 7 o'clock? And we have a Zoom meeting, which is a public meeting, which does allow us to have a quorum.
Yeah.
And make decisions. Is that not true?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's allowed, and especially under the state of emergency. I think the governor's given some leeway to us in terms of public process. I think we need to go out of our way to make sure we're posting meetings appropriately and posting the information about how to participate.
Absolutely.
We can show you, until we get some protocols in place for the county, we can show you examples of what the city's done. They have like a little guide to how to participate in a meeting so that people know what to expect. And for both the person running the meeting and for the people calling into a meeting, like understanding how it works.
That would be great. We'd love to have that.
Good.
Yeah, that'd be super helpful.
Yeah, I can understand not having telephone meetings because the public can't join in. Even if you have a conference call, it's not as public. But with Zoom, you can have a couple of hundred people at least sitting and listening.
Yep.
Yeah, and I might just add to that, to what Karen said, that these are questions that we even talk about in our office as far as how we handle public meetings. And you know, we just like everyone else want to see things continue to move along. We don't want to stall things out any longer than we possibly would need to. But there aren't always obvious answers. And so we certainly wouldn't expect that you would have all the answers either. I think the best route to go is just let us know. We can share what we know. If there's something we don't have an answer to, we can try to come up with a solution. But you know, on the planning side of a lot of the work we do, there's a whole lot of process and a whole lot of past experience that I think can give pretty good nods to directions that might be most successful, and we're happy to do that.
I think one of the keys is being patient and taking extra time. planning out the meetings, taking time for the meetings, taking time to, if you encounter an issue that seems to need discussion, like take more time.
Yeah, I agree.
Great, thank you so much. That was a really helpful and thorough response. I appreciate it.
Are we done?
I think we have anything else? We'll go once, twice. Anybody like to add anything else before we sign off?
Thank you for holding a virtual meeting like this. I love it. I hope we continue these. I think it's the wave of the future for East Missoula. It's going to be the wave of the future because I'm the chairman, and I got to be super careful because, like I said, I live with somebody who's a COPD person, and I cannot take the risk. So I appreciate everybody who works with me and helps me out, Bert included. I'm like a first grader learning how to write. And so learning about Zoom is going to be what's going to help lead our council forward. And I do think it's a wave of the future. And I'm looking forward to a template for the bylaws that we can add to our bylaws for using the Zoom and virtual meeting methods. I appreciate all of it. I'm waiting like a sponge to gobble it all up.
Great, thanks, Lee. All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
You have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye.
Right.